Today's book is none other than 123 Magic by Thomas W. Fallon. Now, this book has sold more than 2 million copies and it has been translated into more than 22 languages. You can only imagine how popular it is. You can only imagine how effective the message is and how well it is being distributed and how well it is being received. And so if you have not read this book, you may be missing out on something that may be very helpful in your parenting journey. Now, this is going to help you raise kids, not necessarily effortlessly, but with less effort when it comes to discipline. Okay, so if you have a huge situation with discipline and your kids, you want to read this book. You want to implement what it teaches and also join those that share testimonies of how, this 123 magic is simple yet super, super effective. And this book has and continues to make an impact. And you know what? It's also dad friendly as well as, nanny friendly and grandma and grandpa friendly. Okay, so hooray! This is finally a book that you can also share with those that also assist in raising your kids. So it's simple enough so even single parents can follow the program effectively. Okay, so no excuses. You're raising a kid, you can benefit from what this book is teaching. Super, super simple, yet super, super effective. So yeah, in this book we learned that parenting is that job, guys, with long hours, no pay, and excellent benefits when done right. Okay, so yep, we need to do it right. Okay, so let's learn how the 123 magic way will show us how to do it right. So there's 6 parts in this book. Part 1 is teaching us, different parts about building a solid foundation for parenting. Okay, as we go through the book, we're going to be looking at the different parts. So in part 1, there's chapter 1, orientation to the parenting profession. Okay, you want to be orientated. All right. Chapter 2, your job as a parent, what it is that you actually should be doing and not doing. Okay, chapter 3, challenging the little adult assumption. Okay, treating kids like kids. Okay, don't always treat them like adults, because you know what, they're not yet adults. Chapter 4, avoiding the 2 biggest discipline mistakes. What are those? Well, find out in this book. Okay, all right, so let's look into part 1 of this book, building a solid foundation for parenting. So chapter 1, okay, great news, you are a parent. Wonderful, congratulations. But hey, how do you prepare for this job? Newsflash, there's no way to fully prepare until you actually do it. Okay, so you don't have to necessarily plan everything and assume everything will go well, or at least according to plan. Okay, a lot you're going to be learning in the process, so don't be too hard on yourself. Okay, enjoy the journey, but also you want to learn as you go. It is absolutely helpful that you have certain pointers, from people that have gone through the road before you, people that have studied in this topic, people that are willing to share some useful tips that work. Okay, so that definitely helps. But yeah, you will not really know everything until you actually do it. So like any profession, it's highly recommended that you actually get trained, right? A lot of times people will go and they'll study for their career pursuits, but who actually goes and studies for being a parent, right? Or who goes and is actually trained for it? Well, you know what, nowadays you can, and it is actually a good idea that you do, both you and whoever it is that is going to be part of the journey of raising your kid. Now in the 123 magic, we actually are being reminded, okay, like there are 2 ground rules for effective parenting that are being emphasized repetitively throughout this whole book. The first one is that you want to be warm and friendly on the one hand, okay? You don't want to be the person that your kids cannot approach. You don't want to be the person that your kids cannot really, or they just tolerate because you're just too much for them, right? So you want to have that warm and that friendly side, that fun side, okay? You want your kids to enjoy being with you, but also you don't want to be too nice, okay? You want to have the second ground rule, which is being demanding and firm to your kids, okay? So they should know there's time for playing, but also there's a time where mommy or daddy says no, in which case I've got to stick to this. So for example, like being warm and friendly, you take care of their emotional and their physical need. They want to play. Why don't you play with them? Okay, they want you to nurture their, their emotions when they're feeling sad and stuff. You want to be able, to comfort them as well. So that is where your warm and your friendly side has got to kick in. But then on the demanding and the firm side, you need to be able to set some rules for them. You need to clearly explain what is it that you expect that they should do. Okay, so do expect something from them and lay out your expectations, okay? And have them responsible, for doing what it is that you expect them to do. Do you expect them to clean their room? Do you expect them to make their bed? Do you expect them to do their homework? Do you expect them, to pick up after themselves, right? Make that clear to them, all right? And make sure that they understand what it is that you expect from them and that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it very, very well. So therefore, you want to send the message that, number one, warm and friendly, okay, I love you and I will take care of you, okay, but also number two, demanding and firm, I expect something from you. Okay, so both these orientations are critical to raising emotionally intelligent and mature kids, right? Yeah, so they should be able to see from you that all sides of your own emotions, are being utilized. You're not just being this big bubbly ball of happiness all the time, overlooking whenever it is they do wrong things, okay, or just sugarcoating and brushing them off. No, they should be able to see and learn from you that, it's okay to have fun and play, but also there's a time for, discipline. There's a time for sternness. There's a time for assertiveness. They should learn it from your example first. Okay. So it also means that encouraging and respecting your kids' growing independence, okay? Because you know what? One day they will leave home. Okay, so it's not okay as a parent to raise your kids so that they're going to always be by your side and always, in your house and doing what it is that you want them to do all the time. No, you should train them to be able to go out there and contribute into the world. Prepare them to be contributors to the world someday, okay? So you do that by ensuring that you give them what they need, you give them responsibility, you allow them that independence, right? You help them to, mature effectively. Okay, you tell them when they're doing things which are wrong. You help them be able to deal with consequences to their own actions, right? Help them to make amends, okay? So you help them in all of those processes, help them to make their own decisions, and so prepare them to be able to step out there into the world and be effective contributors in society as well. Okay, so that is what you as a parent should do, okay, versus a parent who always want their kids to, to be at home and just following the rules all the time. Okay, let's not be controlling parents, yeah? Let's be loving parents who want our kids to succeed even in our absence, okay? So then we learn about automatic versus deliberate parenting, okay? So automatic is the things that, let's say you do them, without even planning to do them, they just come naturally, right? For example, your child cries. There are certain things that you don't necessarily plan that this is what you do when your child cries, it may be instinct, right? Or maybe it's just, you automatically hug them, embrace them, or you have a word and a comforting word to say to them. You didn't necessarily plan about that. It was just an automatic response, to deal with a particular situation. But then you get a deliberate, behavior where you would plan that this is what I will do, okay, and this is what I will not do, okay. So when we look at the automatic versus the deliberate parenting, the automatic is the things you do without even thinking, right? Like we said, the comforting them, both for good and bad things. By the way, there are certain things that you do without thinking which are good, and there are certain things that you do without thinking which are bad. So for example, your child does something bad, and out of automatic reflexes, you just respond in anger because this is probably a weakness that you have, and so this automatic parenting or automatic behavior, can be both good as well as bad. What does that mean? It means that as a parent, it's not just about you dealing with your kid all the time. It also is about you dealing with yourself. There are certain things that you also will have to deal with. There are certain things which you also have to attend to, okay? So in other words, the 1, 2, 3 magic approach helps in teaching you as a parent, raising awareness on what it is that you should do differently, as well as what it is that you can do for your child. So it's learning both ways. So the deliberate parenting, again, things you will deliberately intend to say or do, like you plan it out, okay? So again, the more you do these deliberate actions will be the more automatic they become. And that is absolutely amazing because, say you learn something that you can do, and, you see and you understand this in your deliberate planning side, and then you decide, okay, you know what, I want this to be how I raise my kid. You can actually start doing that. The more you do that, practice makes progress, okay? You can actually, become automatic in doing this as well. So for example, you deliberately intend to use the 1, 2, 3 magic approach, and you start by using it. You keep on using it, and soon enough, it can also be an automatic response to how you deal with, let's say behavioral or discipline issues when it comes to your children. So note, automatic parenting includes another critically important activity that you do all the time, which is modeling, okay? So again, even though, or especially because you don't necessarily plan what it is that you're doing, you're not necessarily aware because you do it so many times, it's like a habit, you're not even aware of it, kids are able to pick that up first, this is like, how you do things. Okay, how do you respond, to when people make you angry? Okay, kids will actually look at that, through how you model that, they're able to pick that up. It can easily become their behaviors as well. So that is where the parent needs to work on, okay? Observe how you model, certain behaviors to your kids. Observe what it is that you do, okay? And do you want this behavior to move on to your kids? Do you want your kids to learn from this behavior? If not, maybe you want to do something about that behavior as well. So children are great imitators, and they learn a lot by just watching the way you behave. Okay, so a lot more, is learned from your nonverbals. Okay, things that you don't necessarily say to them. Okay, but the things that you do. Okay, whether you're aware of them or not, kids are picking them up. Okay, so your job as a parent then, there are 3 roles which are being highlighted. It's that it's controlling obnoxious behavior, okay? You want to control it. You want to manage it. Don't allow kids to continue in obnoxious behavior. Okay, so it helps make parenting pleasant when you can control this behavior. By the way, this book does help you as well, or the 1, 2, 3 magic approach will help you in controlling this behavior. Number two, another role is encouraging good behavior. Okay, you don't want to be the no, no, no parent all the time. You want to be able to have days where you say, you know what, yes, this is good, right? Well done on this. Okay, so it's not about just being critical, and just speaking down on what they shouldn't do, but also highlight what it is that is good that they are doing so that they're able to continue. Praise them. Okay, show them, appreciation for the good that they do. Notice, make them aware that you did notice when they did the right thing as well. And the third role, which is a also important one, is strengthening your relationship with your children. Okay, so once again, if you are able to strengthen your relationship with your kids, you are able to even do the first two roles well. Because now your relationship is strengthened, you can easily control obnoxious behavior, as well as you can easily encourage good behavior, because you already have this good relationship going on with your kids. Okay, so in this book, again, we talk of a lot of stop and start behavior. Now, the stop behavior is the behavior that you want your kids to stop, preferably immediately, okay? And the start behavior is the behavior that you want your kids to start doing, okay? So you want them to stop whining, to stop backchatting, but you want them to start, let's say, making their bed, okay? To start being responsible, okay? To start doing things without you reminding them. Because so when we talk of stop behavior, please, kid of mine, stop this. And start behavior, please, kid of mine, start doing this. Okay. So parents usually get frustrated by their kids because, they either, number one, doing something negative, that parents want them to stop, or number two, are not doing something that the parents want them to start doing. Okay, so sometimes you are frustrated because, oh my goodness, this kid needs to stop doing this, or oh my gosh, why can't they start doing this? Okay, so that is where the stop and the start behavior comes in. So for example, controlling obnoxious behavior, that would be a stop behavior. A stop behavior. So you want them to stop with this obnoxious behavior. Okay, so this is something that they should stop. Okay, and as well as encouraging good behavior, this is something that you want them to start. Okay, or this is a start behavior. Okay, so you want them to continue doing this, so you praise it. Okay, so I want to see more of this. Okay, so let us praise it. Let us show that we've acknowledged it. Let us show that we appreciate it. Okay, so strengthening your relationship with your children, again, that is definitely a start behavior. If you haven't started doing it, you need to make sure you start doing it. Okay, make sure you put certain things in place to let your kids, feel more comfortable in your space. Okay, and invite you in their space. Okay, so that you guys, are always, comfortable in each other's spaces. So for example, a lot of parents would just send their kids to watching TV. Screen time, parents, shouldn't replace one-to-one FaceTime. Okay, it's not about sitting on the dinner table and everybody being on their phone. Yes, you bought your kids that expensive phone, they're happy about it, but it shouldn't replace the time they should be spending with you. Okay, so that face-to-face, one-on-one interaction, parent to child, is absolutely important. Okay, it doesn't have to be face-to-face. Okay, because again, kids in different ages, they have different interests. Some of them don't have the patience of just staring you in the face, right? But doing things together, okay, having fun together, that also is equally, maybe even more important. So we also reminded, or we taught of the little adult assumption. When parents will say, what, these kids are young adults, okay, so they should be responsible. What, a part of that is true, okay, but also a huger part is is what we are being made aware of in this section. That kids are kids, okay, and they should not be given too much responsibility, too early. Okay. Again, there's pros and cons to that, but parents should not assume that, if I take the time to explain this and the pros and cons of this to my kids, they will act better. No, sometimes they're not even paying attention to you anymore. Their concentration span is just, when are you finishing? You're just yapping. They're not listening to you anymore. So you want to be able to come down to their level as well. Okay, so kids are kids and they are not adults. So when you are disciplining kids using too many explanations, for example, oh my goodness, I don't like it. When people do this and this and this, it does this, it's going to affect you in life. And a kid is just not paying attention to you anymore. They're just waiting for you to finish and like, okay, when is mommy going right now? I'm just tired of this. Oh my goodness, she likes to whine and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so using too many explanations too many times, it will frustrate both you and your kids, okay, because they're not at that level yet. Okay, and again, it won't produce near as much results as you want. So again, you don't want to make parenting this draining experience, right? Yeah. So what do you achieve after you've just taken time and you've just gone on and you have vented to this kid? What did you achieve? Okay. Well, someone else can say I've offloaded some of what I felt, but what is it that you actually achieved? Okay, you can actually be taking away instead of bringing in or building up what you want to build up when it comes to your bond with your kid. So, giving them too many information, yes, it's important. Giving them information is important, but it shouldn't be the first priority. Okay, it shouldn't be, the only thing that you're doing. You do this, I'm going to give you this whole lecture of why this is wrong. Okay. Yeah, do that to your colleagues. Even they will be like, oh my goodness, stop it, but kids even worse. So if you need to explain, then explain only once. Okay, in case they actually didn't understand. So make sure you explain to them, not in a shouting manner, in a manner that makes them aware that this is what I'm expecting of you. Okay, explain to them clearly. And kids are best treated like how animal trainers treat animals. Okay, and if you were to notice, animal trainers will use repetition. Okay, repetition, reward. Okay, so they choose whatever method and they're consistent. Okay, like I'm going to be sticking to this method. I'm using the 1 2 3 method. I'm going to be using it consistently. Okay, so they use non-verbal cues because again, animals can't talk, but they use repetition. Okay, so the animals get used to this, right? Remember, kids also, they pick up your nonverbals. Okay, so use or be mindful of how you use your nonverbals, as well as reward the behavior that you desire. Okay, so you want this rewarded. Okay, so let kids also feel that, okay, this is good and I did it, I was rewarded. You know what, I will do it again. Okay, so that is how raising kids is sort of likened to training animals. So you get again two types of parenting. You get the dictatorship versus democracy. Okay, so again, too much of any of these is a problem. Okay, but if you use, both of them have got their pros, both of them have got their cons. It is advisable that when your kid is still small, use the dictatorship. Okay, tell them what they need to do. Tell your 1-year-old, tell your 2-year-old. Okay, let them understand the expectation repetitively. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. But once the right habits have been formed, you can now move on to democracy. Okay, so which one do you prefer? Would you like the strawberry ice cream or the vanilla ice cream? Okay, do you want to take a bath now or in the morning, or do you want to take it at night? Okay, so you can actually involve them now, because you have actually taught them at first and you used sort of like the dictatorship at first, but ultimately you want to allow them that freedom, right? But don't start with freedom, because hey, it's going to be chaotic. Start with the order. Start with the example, start with the standard, okay, start with the dictatorship, and then you can follow on with the democracy afterwards. Okay, so for example, tell your 2-year-old what they must do and how, okay, and you can ask your 7-year-old what they prefer. Okay. Okay, and parents sometimes resort to talking and then persuading, and then they argue, and then they yell, and then they hit. Okay, they kids. The book calls it the talk, persuade, argue, yell, hit syndrome. Okay, which is more like, what? I've tried talking to you, didn't work. Again, problem, too much information. I've persuaded you, still talking, too much information. I've argued with you, still talking, too much information. I'm yelling at you, you still talking, too much information. You know what? You're not listening to me. I'm going to hit you. Okay? That entire process was not effective for dealing with that disciplinary issue. There are better ways. Okay? So we learn also that we should avoid the 2 biggest discipline mistakes, okay, which is number 1, too much talking. Okay, it's not about talking. You know what? If you don't like to talk, this is absolutely an amazing tool for you, because you know what? It is encouraging that you don't have to talk too much. If you do love talking, be mindful. Okay, this one can be the area where you need to work on, even if it means you bite your tongue. Okay, but don't talk too much. Okay, another mistake is too much emotion. Okay, you don't have to be too emotional. Okay, you don't have to show your anger. You don't have to show this expression of your disappointment and all of this and this. You certainly should not be the one throwing the tantrum. So you want to be able to express yourself without using too many words, not too much talking, but also be able to express yourself with the least amount of emotions. Okay, let it be a neutral way to express. This is what needs to be done. Let them understand that. Okay, model that very clearly. So especially when it comes to discipline, you want to be consistent, you want to be decisive, and you want to be absolutely calm. That calm voice carries power, it carries authority. But when you are in your anger or whatever, you sort of lose your power, and kids can sieve through that. Okay, it's like, when a child enjoys just taking a pebble and throwing it on water, okay, maybe a river or the little ocean, or and they throw and they see how there's little ripples that form. Okay, they enjoy that because the small little stone they threw there, it has just made a huge impact. Okay, they feel there's an element of power, right? I can influence all of these waters even though I'm so little and I'm using this small little stone. So same effect, kids, though little as they are, they've got so many disadvantages, right? They're young, they're short, they're small-bodied, right, in comparison to their parents, right? They don't have enough information. They need information from their parents. They've got so many disadvantages when it comes to power. And so for the most part, they always want to have power. And so what they'll do is, they will throw that pebble, okay? Again, figuratively, that pebble, they'll do that action to sort of influence your emotions. And when they see that, okay, if I do this, it has that ripple effect, okay? I can make mommy angry when I do this. Guess what? They'll keep on doing it, okay? Because it just gives them that enjoyment. There's something that I also can control. There's some place where I also can exercise my power, my authority. It makes me feel important. Okay, so deprive them of that. Okay, if they throw that pebble, let them see that, what, it doesn't work with mommy or daddy. I still don't get power even when I try to to get it in this way. Okay, so that is why it's important. Don't talk too much. Okay, don't show too much emotion. Okay. All right, so if you have anger problems, deal with those problems first before you attend to your big role of parenting. Okay, moving on to part 2, controlling obnoxious behavior. So part 2, controlling obnoxious behavior. Okay, they used to say silence is golden, and we learn here that you can get results in other ways that don't require you to be speaking, okay? So sometimes your silence speaks louder than your words, okay? It's a bit tricky, right? But there's power in your silence when you know when to keep quiet, right? Making your statement clear and then keeping quiet, that power in the pause and in the silence, you can practice that, use that to your advantage. Okay, so we're looking here at getting results through counting. Okay, so again, you are counting, but you are not necessarily talking too much or showing any emotion, but you are tapping into this power that we find in silence. So the 1, 2, 3 magic, it's actually the counting magic is recommended, yet it is a simple solution to assist controlling obnoxious behavior. Okay, so we're going to look now into this 1, 2, 3 magic. It shouldn't be used for start behaviors, by the way. Do we still remember the start behaviors? The things that we want kids to do. Okay, so for example, if we are telling our kid to wake up in the morning and they're like, you don't want to use the 1, 2, 3 magic for something necessarily like that. You want to use them for stop behavior, for things that you want them to stop immediately. Okay, so don't use it for, hey, I want you to start being a good person, I want you to start doing your homework, so I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3 for you. No, all right, but do it when they're doing something wrong. Use it as a disciplinary tool, okay, because that is what it is intended for. That is where it is most effective. Okay, so for all those stop behaviors, the things that you want your kids to stop doing, preferably as in yesterday. Okay. Right, so the magic is not in counting, by the way. Okay, so don't assume that, hey, if I count, miraculously everything is going to resolve itself. No, anyone can count. Okay, there's no power necessarily in the counting. Okay, but the power is in the no talking and in the no emotion rules. Okay, so you don't want to be counting and you're busy yapping. Okay, that's 1, and you're busy telling them, I don't like it when you do this. You always don't listen to my rules. 2, and then by the way, yesterday, no, because you know what, your counting gets lost in all the many words that you're saying. You losing the power that you could actually have had you just been focusing on the counting and pairing it up with strong silence. Okay, so remember that the rule, okay, the power is not in the counting. The power is in how you pair it up with no talking as well as no emotion. Okay, use those very well. So the magic is not in counting. I'm going to keep on repeating that. It is repeated in the book as well, but in the pregnant pause after the counting. Okay, so for example, when you start counting 1 and then there's the silence, your child gets to think, okay, and then you count again 2, right? They know to do something because now mommy is not negotiating this time, right? Mommy is actually serious about this. There's no emotion in her face, right? And there are no words being shared, so there's no opportunity for me to negotiate anything. I might as well just get up and do what it is that she's telling me not to do. I mean, not do what it is that she's telling me not to do, because again, this is a stop behavior tool, okay, not a start behavior tool. So if you can't, if you count, but also are explaining yourself and sharing your frustration, because I don't like it, I don't like when I have to discipline you. Why can't you be like your brother? It even comes across as though you are begging your child to behave, okay? It gives them that, interpretation that, okay, mommy's negotiating here, or maybe mommy's begging me to do this thing. Do I want to do it? Okay, what if I don't want to do it? What is she going to do? Okay, so don't fall into the trap. So when using the 1, 2, 3 program or 1, 2, 3 approach, be sure to be consistent in using it and let kids understand that consequences do follow when they have exceeded to the 3rd strike. Okay, so it shouldn't be a matter of we count, and then what? Because sometimes your kid will test that. Okay, they'll be like, okay, and then what happens, right? And if nothing happens, then okay, well, mommy just feels like counting, daddy just feels like counting. There's no point in me following that. But if they understand that there'll be consequences when the counting has completed, okay, they will know to pay attention when you start counting. Because again, the power is not in the counting, the power is in the actions that go alongside the counting. So that way, when they start to override your instructions, you can simply count, that's one, and they'll already do something to change their behavior. If you've reached, sometimes you find that you count, that's one, that's two, and that's three, and you still have not received the desired behavior, and you have to now, sort of act discipline. Okay, but sometimes with other actions, you don't have the opportunity to even give them those chances. Say now they attack you. Say now they say a swear word at you. Okay, say now they did something dangerous. You're not going to start counting 1, 2, 3. All right, you can just jump straight to 3. So they do something like that. You can say, that's 3, and immediately you can give them you can discipline them, right? Then you should again impose a disciplinary action so they know that consequences follow if the counting reaches 3. Okay, so 3 is going to be that number that they know. Okay, if we reach 3, there are going to be issues. Okay, when, however, kids do something dangerous, right, again, go straight to 3. That's 3, and just impose the disciplinary action, okay, so that they know I will not get away with certain things here. Okay, the counting does not mean that I've got too many chances at doing things wrong. Okay, so some pointers to be aware of: your authority is not negotiable. Don't aim to be too nice to kids, okay? I mean, you get parents that want to be too nice to their kids, they want to spoil their kids, but don't let your authority be negotiable, okay? Don't aim to give instructions which kids will follow, and also get them to like the instructions, because you know what? Just the idea of receiving instructions from parents, it's not a nice thing to go through, okay? So kids don't want you to do that. So you don't have to try and make them enjoy it. That's not your job, okay? But the instructions need to be followed. Okay, the homework needs to be done. Whether Johnny likes it or not, the homework needs to be done. They have got to sleep at a certain time. Whether they like it or not, it has to be done. Okay, that's your job. Okay, so don't negotiate on things that you should be doing, and don't try and make them like them. Okay, again, you get those creative parents that will try and have a treat and reward, and you know what? That's too much work, okay? And it shouldn't be the basis of everything, because again, remember, you're preparing this child to be able to perform in a real life situation one day, okay? So in the real world, no one is going to be giving you treats for doing the right thing. You should be able to do the right thing. It should be inherently in you that I do the right thing. Okay, yeah, so teach them that kind of behavior, model that kind of behavior. Don't negotiate on your authority. Okay, so make kids understand that your authority is to be respected. Okay, yeah, and so you need to respect it yourself. You need to be consistent. Okay, don't have to be angry. Okay, but highlight to them what it is that you expect them to do in a clear manner. And also, the 1, 2, 3 magic approach, it disciplines both the child and the parent, and it will require getting used to from both. So like we said earlier, there are certain things that you will need to do differently. There are certain things that you will need to learn, okay? There are certain behaviors that you need to be aware of that you may be modeling, that you may prefer to change, okay? Just to make your job easier, and also just so that you don't become contradictory. Okay, you don't want to be the parent who says, I do as I do, or do as I say and not as I do. Okay, yeah, be able to say do as I say, because what I say is what I do. Okay, so there may be some areas where you need to work on some things yourself. Also, the 1, 2, 3 program is easy to teach, so more people around your child may use it. So your child is going to be sort of, accustomed to it, familiar, and they know that it's not a matter of only when I'm with this parent. When I'm with grandparents, the same program is being used. Teachers at school as well, you can share with them, or if they're using it at school, they can share with parents at home. It should preferably be something that the child is exposed to, in every area of their lives, with every people that they're exposed to, their babysitters, anyone that if they go to extended family, teach this program to them as well. So if you're dealing with older kids who are physically built than you, then give the order and you can walk away, but don't argue with them, okay? So again, they're not too much talking, too much emotion rule. There are no exceptions to that. Even if your child has just grown big, they're this teenager, they're just more built than you are and they seem stronger than you and stuff. You don't have to argue when you're using the 1, 2, 3 method, okay? So you express what needs to be done, and if it comes to that, you just walk away, okay? And let them see that this is no area for negotiation, and they might as well just do it regardless of how built they are, how strong they are. You as the parent still maintain the authority. Okay, so the book again, has got a huge section where they answer questions which people have asked. Okay, so that session is also very helpful. You can also sometimes learn from questions which other people have asked. So, for example, there's one where it's asked if your child counts you back. Let's say you're busy counting 1, 2, and then your child is busy counting back, right? Then what is it? What do you do? Well, again, it's highlighted here that you continue. Okay, so you started counting 1, your child counted back. You continue to count 2. You don't argue with them. You don't let their actions influence you. Okay, you remain neutral in this, and then you continue to count 2. Okay, are they going to do it again? Chances are they won't, because they were testing you. Okay, so when you do that again, you do that without saying anything else. Okay, the trick, parents, is to not talk too much, okay, because that is where a lot of us sometimes fail, because we want to explain and we want to vent out, and the kids, they want that. They are craving for that. Deprive them of that. Okay, again, if they're joking, they'll see that, hey, you're not playing, all right? If they were trying to challenge you, they will see that, okay, they're going to lose on this one, and either way they will do what it is that you want them to do. Okay, so what happens if they're siblings and one starts counting for the other? Okay, don't allow that. Okay, don't allow that. You want to be the one who does that, unless if one is older and they are in charge of the younger one. Let's say the older sibling is taking care of the younger sibling, they're like the babysitter, then they can do that. Okay, you can be teaching that approach, but don't let siblings just do that, count for themselves, because now it's going to lose its effect. It's going to be a little game that people are playing. That's not the purpose of this. Okay. All right, and also kids will test you. Remember this, so don't be shy to follow your rules even in public. Don't say, okay, oh my goodness, I'm in a public place. Oh, okay, now I can't 1, 2, 3 magic. I can't use that approach now because so many people are looking. No. Kids are observing that. Okay, because now next time they'll see, this approach is only done when we're at home. So when we step outside, if I do something naughty outside, I'll get away with it. Okay, that is a power that kids are going to exploit. Okay, so don't be shy. Use it wherever it is necessary. So kids will know, regardless of where I am with my parents, the same is going to be used, and eventually I will be embarrassing myself if I'm going to be doing this. If I'm behaving in a bad way in a supermarket, mom is still gonna start counting. If I'm in church, dad is still gonna continue counting. Okay, if I'm with grandparents, they'll still count. And at the park with my friends, they will still count. Okay, so they shouldn't feel as if, okay, when I'm in other places, I'll get away with it. No. Okay, as long as you are there, as long as the behavior is done, you can use this program. Okay, so if timeout is over, by the way, don't extend it because you just feel like it. No, that's unfair, all right? And also it's taking away from the power of this program, okay? You also want to be also want to be true to your word, okay? And you also want them to trust that, well, you're not necessarily, punishing them with this, but you're disciplining a certain behavior, okay? So stick to, your end of the bargain as well. If their timeout is for 10 minutes, let it be for 10 minutes. Time it, okay? So it will be for 10 minutes. And after the 10 minutes, it ends. And don't start talking about whatever they did afterwards, okay? You shouldn't punish them or discipline them and then from there start talking about whatever it is that they did and then highlighting how you don't like it. No. You've disciplined. It should be over. Move on to the next thing. Okay. Yeah, so some kids, by the way, they'll want to hug you, okay, maybe because they feel bad for what they did, or maybe they're trying to, to soften you because they want to do something else, be able to assess, okay? And again, after the discipline has taken place, you don't have to be harsh to them anymore. So yes, you can receive that hug. Yes, you can have fun. Yes, you can play again, all right? Because that action is dealt with and it's over, okay? And sometimes you find that a child, you grounded them for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and then they fell asleep, okay? It's okay. You don't have to punish them again, because of having fallen asleep. No, okay? They will learn from that, and, you will wait for the next kind of disciplinary action, okay? But yes, be a parent. Remember, we said you want to be warm and friendly, but also demanding, and setting the expectations of what needs to be done. So talk to your kids, by the way. Talk to your kids. Explain to them that, okay, by the way, we're going to be following this 1, 2, 3 method right now, okay? And explain what this is all about. Explain what it entails. I also did this. I explained to my kid. We actually role played. I actually, let her do it for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, if you are going to be on timeout, this is how timeout is going to feel. So you're going to stand by the wall. You face the wall, for 5 minutes, okay, whatever time I decide. And, we role play this. Timeout, by the way, doesn't have to be, standing against the wall. It can be anything. It can be sitting, on a chair. It can be standing on one foot. It can be anything, okay, that you decide. It can be scrubbing the bathroom sink. It can be weeding out the yard. It can be anything that you decide. Washing the dishes. Anything that you decide, okay? Yeah, the only thing that I don't really encourage is that sometimes if you're going to let a chore be the punishment, then your child will have this attitude that chores are punishment, okay? So you don't want to necessarily do that all the time, okay? So you can have some variety. But also, here's a good one. If you give them a paper and pen and let them write down, okay, what is it that they did wrong? Write down what it is, that you don't like from their behavior, and let them show you. That can also be an effective tool for them to, to time out, okay? But explain to them what timeout is. Let them understand that when you start counting, it's not a game, right? It's a way that you're going to discipline them. And should they exceed, to 3, they will be punished, okay? So yes, you want to involve your kids in this journey. It's not just about you. It's about building something with your kids together. Three, we're looking at managing testing and manipulation. You know what? Yes, you guessed it. Your kids are going to test you. Okay, your kids are going to try and manipulate you because you know what? They feel as if you're manipulating them with this 1, 2, 3 approach, and they're going to try and manipulate you in return. Okay, so again, what to do when your kids test or manipulate you? First of all, remember that kids will test or manipulate you if they feel frustrated by you. And remember, when you start demanding them to do certain things that you want, you are frustrating them, okay? You are frustrating their plans, okay? Because they don't want to do what you tell them. They want to do what they want, okay? So you frustrate your kids whenever you want them to do things they don't want to do, such as, their homework or cleaning their room or even waking up in the morning. So when you keep saying, hey, wake up, Cindy, all right, that is frustrating the kid because, oh, mommy, I don't want to wake up, okay? So they will test and manipulate you whenever they feel frustrated by you, okay? Small little things. So testing and manipulation in children is perfectly normal, by the way. If your child does this, it doesn't mean that they're a witch, or a wizard, and that they're out to get you and that they're horrible kids. No, it's absolutely normal. It's a normal phenomenon in human beings altogether, okay? In fact, similar tactics are also used by adults when they want to get their way. Okay, so they will test. Can I get away with this? Can I? What if I do this? So here follows 6 basic testing tactics. Okay, that you want to be aware of. Number 1, badgering, where your kid is repetitively saying why, annoying repetitively. Okay, so again, when your kid does something like this, you don't want to entertain it. Okay, they've got this energy, they've got too many words, they're ready for you, but you don't have to respond in such a way. Okay, you can respond in a more mature way, you can respond in a way that doesn't use too many words. Okay, that way you are you are taking back your power. All right, yeah, and you're calming the entire situation. Right, and number 2, temper, intimidation, where a kid goes on, I hate you, right? And they say all sorts of things. So control this while the child is still young, by the way. Okay, don't want a child like this to continue with this behavior all the time, because hey, if it grows, it can become something much bigger. Okay, can become messier when they grow older. Okay, so you can give them still the counting. You can enforce certain rewards when they're doing something good. Okay, so watch them when they're doing something good, but still enforce the discipline that this is not accepted. Okay, we will not tolerate this. Okay, so pay particular attention when your child is trying to intimidate you, okay, by using this temper. Okay, and again, when your child goes on number 3 and they're sharing a lot of threats, right? I'm going to run away from home. Hey, Mark, please, clean your room. No, I don't like this here. Everybody keeps telling me what to do. I'm going to run away from home. The best thing is for me to just leave this place, okay? All right, so assess, by the way, when your child is responding in these threats, assess if the child has any reason to feel in such a threatening way, okay, before you get worried. Because some parents will get worried and they'll fall into the trap. Let me do what they want. What if they run away? No, it was a trap. They were not going to run away, okay? They're just using you. They're just testing and trying to manipulate you, okay? So if you see that Johnny has no reason to do this, Buhle has got everything going on in their life. They're doing well at school, they've got good friends, they are actually going to a birthday party next month, and stuff like that. Well, chances are they won't want to run away from home, okay, because they need you to take them to this birthday party, they need you to take them to school and stuff, and they're just saying these kind of words to try and get away from doing what it is you want them to do. Okay, it's a way of responding to this frustration you give them when you tell them what they must do, when you become demanding to them. Again, when kids use the martyrdom approach, I want to kill myself, I never get anything. Maybe they just sit and they stare because you've said no, and now they're staring out the wall and they pretend as if they want to kill themselves, or they want to jump, from the window and stuff. Don't again get easily manipulated by that, okay? Because kids are going to use such approaches to try and get to you, okay? So don't give it too easily to kids who do all those sorts of tricks, okay, to make their parents guilty for not letting them have their way. Okay, you don't have to be guilty. Okay, it's your job, all right, and you're doing the right thing. Okay, and if Coco doesn't really like this, it doesn't mean that it's not the right thing. No, it's just unfortunately how life works. Okay, but again, do assess if your child is doing a lot of this, because there could be something psychological. Okay, there could be those cases. You can assess that, but for the most part, kids would say those kind of things because they're just throwing a tantrum and they want to see what they can get away with, right? Especially if what you're telling them to do is not something that they want to do. Okay, so another kind of tactic is when they butter up, right? Where they say all sorts of things, to warm you. Oh, mommy, you're the nicest mom in the world, right? Be able to distinguish again between genuine affection from kids and when they're wanting to soften up their parents so they can get away with what they want. Okay, I don't want to do dishes, so maybe if I can speak very nicely about mom, she's going to end up doing dishes for me. Okay. Some parents fall into the trap. Don't be that parent, okay? So receive their affection, but also indicate to them, oh, by the way, the affection doesn't change, that you still need to do the dishes, okay? Yes, you still need to do your homework, all right? Yeah, so also the sixth one is physical tactics, okay, where kids will want to attack, right? But again, with this one, you know, you want to control it again when it's still young. You don't want to have kids getting used to hitting you, okay? That is just absolutely wrong, uncalled for. And if it's allowed to continue, it'll get worse when kids grow bigger and stronger than you, okay? So completely get rid of that when it starts, okay? But that's another way that kids try and manipulate their parents. So therefore, you want to be mindful that your kids don't push your buttons. They will try, okay? They will try. It doesn't matter how good your kids are. They will try to push your buttons, see what they can get away with. But it's your job to observe that and still be the one who retains that authority as the parent, okay? By the way, the book also shares some real stories from parents as well as some good illustrations, okay? So once again, do get a copy of this book. A wonderful, awesome read. Okay, we're going to move on to part 4, which is encouraging good behavior. Yes, chapter 4 or part 4, encouraging good behavior. Once again, family, if you love what you hear here, do join the community, do subscribe, do like to share this video. Let's have more people receive from this comment and from this content and be able to grow as a family. Okay, so part 4, encouraging good behavior. We look at cleaning up and chores. Okay, so this is something, that most parents, okay, you get parents that will say, you know what, I have a cleaner who does all those kind of things. I don't want my kids to be cleaning the house. I want them to focus on their studies and so on and so forth. But you get other parents that will say, you know what, I want my kids to be responsible. I want them to be able to clean up after themselves. I want them to have certain chores, okay? But you know what? Kids don't like those chores. So how to get your kids to clean up after themselves? Most kids are not naturally neat. Okay, so it's not something that they're necessarily bored with. It's something that they need to be taught. So kids need to be trained to pick up after themselves, to clean their rooms, and to do chores. Okay, remember again, this is a frustrating activity because you'll be frustrating their plans because you want them to do something that honestly they do not want to do. So some suggestions are shared in the book. Some of them include setting a weekly routine. So for example, Jimmy has got his room, he's got his own space, and it's messy, okay? You can, set a weekly routine. Jimmy, maybe which day of the week can you clean, all right, your room? And please make sure that on this day you always clean. And when you clean your room, this is what I expect. I expect your bed is going to be made. I expect your shoes are going to be placed in this place. I expect that there won't be anything under your bed. I expect that your wardrobe is going to be neatly packed. All that you expect, make it clear. Maybe on the first day, even help Jimmy to clean his room, okay? Let him see how that clean room looks like. And then from there, when you tell them, by the way, your job is to make sure that this room stays this way, and every Tuesdays or Wednesdays, get it, specifically at the state, even spray polish spray polish on the wooden floor or whatever, but keep your room clean. So set that weekly routine and give immediate reward, okay? When Jimmy has done it, well done, Jimmy, okay? Notice that they've done it, okay? If you are giving them an allowance, you can give them an allowance, but make sure that you make them aware that you've noted the good that they've done. Okay, there's another one, which is the 55-gallon drum method. This is now an idea which is shared, from some of the parents, which is where they actually got this 55-gallon drum and they kept it in the basement of their house. So like a basement or garage, wherever, will be sort of out of the house, but in the house as well. And so whenever the parents would walk around and find things belonging to the kids, they'll collect them and they'll throw it in that gallon or in that drum. And so kids would notice, oh my goodness, my shoes, my sport shoes, they'll go in that drum. Here they were because they were lying around. So it was sort of, extra work for them to get what it is, that they're supposed to have placed in the right place, in which they failed to do so. And over time, kids knew, okay, if this is not here, chances are it's in the drum in the basement. Now I've got to walk an extra 2 minutes or 5 minutes to go and get it. Okay. And that can also help them, to be mindful. Oh my goodness, I don't want mommy to pick this up. Let me put it in the right place before she comes and picks it up and throws it in that drum. Okay, throwing things in this drum whenever you find your kids leaving them lying around, it helps them again to get used to the idea of picking up after themselves. There was also another one being shared, which is the docking system. So in other words, they pay you whenever you have to do things that they should have done. Again, this one works when you have, when you do give them allowance. So maybe you give them certain amount allowance per month or weekly or however you've already arranged. And on days where you end up doing their chores or what they're supposed to do, then you deduct. Okay. But again, kids may decide to, what, I want mommy to clean this, so I'm going to leave it here. It's fine if she deducts. Okay, so you need to make sure that they feel uncomfortable with you deducting. So in other words, you can deduct more for when you do what they're supposed to do. Okay, so that they'll think twice. Okay, before just leaving their things around. Remember, this is not just for the fun of it. It's intended to help teach them a certain lifestyle. Okay, the lifestyle of just picking up after themselves and being responsible and actually clean. Okay, so these are some ideas which were shared in the group. Do share if you have other ideas that actually are working. All right, maybe someone else can also benefit from what it is that you are doing. Okay, so moving on to part 5, which is strengthening your relationship with your child or with your children. All right, part 5, strengthening your relationships with your children. By the way, remember we said if you do this part very well, okay, then it will help you to be able to control obnoxious behavior as well as encourage good behavior, okay? So you want to definitely have this good relationship with your kids, and you find that some parents are still struggling with this part. Like, how do I have this relationship with my kids? Because, they don't like me because I've got too many rules apparently. Okay, by the way, the rules don't necessarily mean that your kids will not like you. There are other things which maybe you're not doing very well, which are taking away from their relationship with your kids. And in some cases, if you don't have any rules, it also doesn't mean that your kids are going to like you, or maybe if they do like you, maybe they will not respect you. Okay, so it's not about the rules that you have in place. It's about other things that you have in place to ensure that your relationship with your kids is always well intact. Okay, so if you do this part very well, you'll be bonding with your child. Okay, if you bond well with your child, then the other areas will be much easier to do. Okay, so for example, if you do the following, if you are a good listener, okay, listen to your kids. You don't have to be quick to give them advice and try and solve their problems. Take the time to listen. They're telling you something, sometimes it means just being there to help them, to describe what they're feeling. Okay, mommy, I don't like it, or mommy, I'm so angry because Tim took my baseball ball and did not return it. I'm like, oh wow. Or I hate Cindy so much, I never want to talk to her again. Okay, wow. You probably feel so upset. Okay, Cindy must have done something to really make you so upset. Okay, so you don't necessarily come and say, oh no, that's not a good idea, you should speak to Cindy, her mom and I go way back, you guys have always been friends from when you were in kindergarten. No. Okay, you take the time to listen. Let them, involve you in their journey, okay? Let them trust that mommy will actually hear me out, will be on my side, will relate with what I can say, right? So I can talk with mommy, I can talk with daddy, okay? So be a good listener. Don't always be ready to discipline a child. Take the time to listen to them too, okay? Why are they not doing things the way that you say they should, okay? What's stopping them? Right? Take the time to listen to them and be able to discuss certain things with them. Okay? So another one, don't overparent your kids. Know when to let your kids think for themselves. Don't be the one who's the mastermind in everything. They've got a mastermind of their own. Okay? Let that mind develop. Okay? Have a sneak preview of what's going on in that mind. How are you going to do that? By asking the owner of that mind, what do you think of that? Okay, how are you going to attend to this one? Deal with this one. If they're coming to you with a situation, oh no, I can't tie my shoelaces, it does not always mean that you have to tie it for them. Okay, you can teach them. If you already have taught them, then give them enough time to to try again, right? It's something that they need to keep on practicing. So yes, don't be, the parent that's just overly, protective. Don't overparent your kids, okay? Let them, also learn from their own mistakes and learn in their journey of life, okay? They will thank you later on in life. Build your kids' self-esteem, okay, and independence. They will need that, even beyond the journey that you'll have with them in life. Again, solving problems together. You don't have to solve all their problems, okay? Involve them in the problem solving. Let them see how you solve the problem, okay? Let them learn from how you solve a problem, but allow them to solve their own problems themselves as well. Okay, so it's encouraged that you create an environment where you and your kids constantly work as a team, okay? It's also advisable that you make time for family meetings so everyone's voice can be heard and all family members may take part in family decision making. That big family table where you all sit together and, discuss, okay, what do you guys think of chores? People can say, oh, no, don't like them. But you know what? What if no one did the chores? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that will be a problem. It will be so stinky. Okay, how can we get the chores done so, everyone will have more time to, do other things that they like? Oh, mommy, I can do this one. Oh, okay, daddy, I can do this one, right? Involve them in even those kind of talks and don't always want to impose what it is that they should do. Okay, so the journey of parenting should be enjoyable. There is a way to make it enjoyable. It involves you working as a team with your kids, all right? Being on one team, because you know what? You already are on one team. So let them feel that they can contribute, let them want to contribute, let them feel an integral part of the family as well. All right, but last and definitely not least, we're going to be looking at part 6, which is enjoying your new family life. All right, part 6, enjoying your new family life. It's important to be consistent in your family routine. Okay, so consistency, absolutely important. That way they get to learn that this is not something that is done when we feel like it. They'll get to learn that this is how things are done around here. That system, that routine, that order is easier to follow. It will make life, better possible for everyone involved. Okay, so be consistent in your family routine. You can make mistakes, by the way, okay? You are human too, all right? That's okay, but you must learn from those mistakes, okay? If it means you make certain adjustments, okay, make those adjustments. Don't be too hard on yourself, but do learn, okay, on what it is that you need to be doing differently. Also, don't be distracted by what other people will think of as you follow your routine, okay? What if other people don't follow this 1, 2, 3 magic? Does it mean that you should be shy about it? No, it doesn't. Maybe you can teach them. Maybe it can be a discussion of, oh, by the way, this is how I parent my kids. How do you do it, okay? And you guys can exchange certain ideas, certain experiences. How did it work with the other parents? How is it working with you, okay? So it does not have to be something that you feel ashamed of, something you feel you need to hide. It can be something that, you know, you become an authority in and you can teach those around you about. Okay, so the 1 2 3 magic approach can change your life, because you know what, when you don't have to spend too much time disciplining kids and enforcing rules and dealing with tantrums, when you can just wake up in the morning, you know, and speak once and things are done, you know, certain systems are in place. Kids know if we don't do this, there are consequences, you know, they're doing their part, everybody's doing their part. Saves time, you know, it's just less effort on your part. It makes parenting enjoyable, and you know, it creates a more peaceful household, and there'll be more time for other things like, you know what, affection, you know, things like adventure, okay, and fun, which is what parenting should also incorporate to a great deal. Remember, these kids, they'll grow very fast, okay. You want to be part of their journey of growth, and you don't want to be part of their journey as this dictator. You want to be part of it as someone that they enjoyed being with, okay. And that is you know, a way that you can, you know, keep your friendship, your relationship going on for a very long time, even help them to extend that to their children as well. So yes, thank you, family. Do share which was your favorite. Do share how these approaches work for you. Are you using the 1 2 3 magic approach? How is it working for you? Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video. Do like to subscribe once again if you have not. Let's continue to grow together.